When Martha saw her own daughter burning her father's will in a rusted metal bucket in the backyard, she realized the family hadn't fallen apart yesterday or today. It had died long before the funeral. Ashes spiraled into the warm evening air over a Chicago suburb, swirling like a memory no one wanted to keep. And her daughter, Lindsay, stood with her hands on her hips, not a trace of regret in her eyes. "He wanted me to have it anyway," she said, without turning around. That's when the war began. Martha didn't scream. She didn't rush to the bucket or try to snatch the charred paper from the flames. She just stood on the porch, clutching a cold cup of tea she'd forgotten to bring inside. One thought looped in her mind like the ticking hand of a broken clock. He knew. He knew this would happen. And he never warned me. Martha Wilson had lived with her husband Robert for 42 years. 42 years of silent compromises, swallowed hurts, and small betrayals no one ever named. They raised 2 children, Lindsay and David. Lindsay had always been Daddy's favorite, smart, ambitious, relentless. David was quiet, thoughtful, always trying to please, especially his mother. Their house on Oak Street was built by Robert's own hands in 1983. Not perfect, the floors creaked, and a draft always slipped through the kitchen window, but every board held a story. David's first steps by the staircase, Lindsay's name carved into the shed door, the words M+R forever, scrawled in charcoal on the attic wall during their first anniversary. Robert was a jack of all trades. He opened a clock repair shop downtown, Wilson's Time. People came not just for repairs, but for advice. He knew how to listen. Especially to middle-aged women disappointed in their husbands or their children. Martha never felt jealous. He helps people, she told herself. Even when she sensed the growing distance between them. For the last 10 years, they'd slept in separate bedrooms. "You snore," he'd joke. "You leave," she'd think, but never say. Because she feared that if she named the emptiness, it would become real. After Robert's sudden death from a heart attack, everything collapsed. Not immediately at first, it was all routine, the funeral, condolences, coffee with neighbors. But on the 4th day, the lawyer read the will. The house, the savings, and the family clock repair shop all went to David. Lindsay received only a father's love and blessing. Silence fell over the room, broken first by Lindsay's laugh, dry, venomous. "He's serious? After everything I've done for him?" Martha said nothing. She knew why Robert had done it. But she stayed silent because the truth was worse than any scandal. A week after the funeral, David came over to help sort through his father's things. He'd always been closer to his mother, but since Robert's death, he felt like a stranger in this house. Too many of his father's belongings. Too much silence. He went down to the basement, dusty, cool, smelling of wood and machine oil. There sat an old safe Robert used to call my treasure chest. David knew the combination, his mother's birth year. The safe groaned open. Inside, not cash or documents, but a cardboard box labeled, "Only if everything falls apart." He opened it. Inside, a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon, all addressed to Robert. The handwriting, Lindsay's. The first letter was dated 2003. "Dad, if you don't help me with my debts, I'll tell Mom about you and that woman from the shop. Or better yet, tell her yourself. Let her find out what you really were. You owe me. I've kept quiet all these years. Now I need money. Or the truth comes out." David's breath caught. He remembered that year, Lindsay suddenly leaving for college in New York, even though the family couldn't afford it. His father had said he took out a loan. His mother never questioned it. He climbed the stairs, the box shaking in his hands. "Mom, you need to read this," he said. Martha sat at the kitchen table, sorting through old photographs. She took the first letter. Then the second. The third. Her face didn't change, only her fingers turned white from gripping the paper. "He was paying her for silence," she whispered. "His whole life." "You knew?" David asked. "No, but I suspected. Once, I found a large check in his pocket with no explanation. When I asked, he said, for Lindsay. She's in a tough spot. I didn't dig deeper. I was afraid I'd find not debts, but another woman." "Didn't it occur to you it might be blackmail?" Martha looked at her son. Her eyes held a lifetime of exhaustion. I thought I was saving the family, but all I was really doing was closing my eyes to the fact that it was already dead. The next day, Martha called Lindsay. Her daughter's voice was calm, businesslike. Hi, Mom. How are you? I saw you burn the will. A pause. Then, evenly. It wasn't fair. You blackmailed your father for 20 years. You demanded money by threatening to tell me about his affair. And he cheated on you. Lindsay snapped. Did you really think he was a saint? He slept with Janice from the shop for 6 months. I saw them together. He asked me to keep quiet. Said you wouldn't survive it. So I stayed silent, but it came at a price. You extorted money from him. Martha shouted, the first time in years her voice carried real fury. You used his weakness. You used me. And you used his silence to keep your perfect marriage. We were all playing the same game, Mom. I just decided I deserved a bigger cut of the prize. For the first time, Martha struck her daughter. Not hard, just a slap across the cheek with a dry, fragile hand. But it was enough to make Lindsay step back. I don't know you anymore, Martha said. Don't come here. Ever. Lindsay turned and walked away. At the porch steps, she stopped. You never even asked if I regret it. I don't care, Martha replied. And shut the door. A month passed. The house stood empty, though Martha still lived in it. She stopped going to the store, calling friends. She didn't even flip the calendar pages, as if time itself had stopped. David called every day. Sometimes he just stayed silent on the line so she'd know she wasn't alone. One day, he brought food, set it on the table, hugged her, and left without a word. One morning, she found a package on the porch. Inside, a letter from Lindsay and the key to the family clock shop. Mom, I sold my apartment. I'm taking the kids and moving to Colorado. I don't want them to see families fall apart like this. Forgive me if you can. I didn't mean to, but I did. I envied the closeness you and David shared. It felt like you both got the part of Dad I deserved. Forgive me for everything. The shop goes to David. It's only fair. And thank you for giving me life, even if you regret it now. Martha sat on the porch for a long time, staring at the key. It was old iron with a worn tag, Wilson's time, since 1978. She remembered how proud Robert had been of that sign. Time is the one thing you can't buy, he used to say. But we can fix it. That evening, she called David. Come by tomorrow. We need to talk. And bring your tools. It's time to fix the old clocks. A year passed. The clock shop was open again. David moved back to town, started a small business, but kept his father's spirit alive. Every weekend, he cleaned, oiled, and tuned antique timepieces. He even restored the original sign. Martha helped, greeting customers, making coffee, telling stories. People listened. Especially older folks, just like her, faces lined with age, hearts scarred by life. One woman came in with her late husband's wristwatch. It stopped the day he died 10 years ago, she said. Can you bring it back to life? David nodded. Martha brought her tea. They sat in silence as the seconds began whispering again. Lindsay wrote rarely. Sometimes photos of the grandchildren. No apologies. But no bitterness either. Just silence, slowly turning into peace. One day, Martha found a box among old belongings filled with her husband's letters. Not the ones used to blackmail him. The real ones. Martha, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Forgive me for my weakness. But know this, you were my greatest regret and my greatest love. I didn't deserve you. But every minute I tried. Forgive me for Lindsay. I thought I was protecting you, but I betrayed you both. If David is reading this, son, take care of your mother. She's stronger than she looks. She placed the letter back and closed the box. Then she walked to the window and looked outside. David was repairing an old pocket watch by the shop entrance. Sunlight glinted off the brass parts. Martha smiled. Some things can't be fixed. But you can learn to live with the cracks, especially when light starts to break through. Sometimes, in the evenings, she'd take out Robert's old pocket watch. It ran slow, 37 seconds behind each day. But she never asked David to fix it. Because maybe, just maybe, in those lost seconds, she could still hear his voice.